Can we acknowledge that it still happens, though, that it does happen? Do you really think that's not happening right now despite this report?
I think
do you really believe that because Barack Obama or our government says or Dianne Feinstein says, oh, we don't do this anymore?
Well, let me tell you what I'll tell you. I am so much in the middle of this one. Let me tell you, I like the values of Joan, but I'll tell you one thing. If anybody thinks us not torturing people is going to stop Al-Qaeda from torturing people, you're living in a crazy world.
All right, there's one take on it, ladies and gentlemen. Joining us now, Ari Fleischer, former White House spokesman for President George W. Bush and president of Ari Fleischer Sports Communications. Hello, sir.
Great to be with you, Steve.
Well, it's always great to talk to you. I've always told you from the first time I met you that, you know, I consider you a part of history, and you know, with 9/11 but when you heard Dianne Feinstein on the floor of the Senate yesterday reading this, I mean, for the whole world to hear and see what many consider an inaccurate, flawed, predetermined report, no witnesses interviewed, I mean, what were you thinking?
I was thinking her methodology is wrong and her conclusions are wrong. And I think what's really inspired this report is the fact that she and others on Capitol Hill were indeed briefed about this at the time. They approved it. They, in many cases, urged us to do more of it. And now, as the worst kind of Monday morning quarterbacking, after it's over and after George Bush is unpopular and things that happen over there are unpopular, they totally flip sides, jump, and then blame us for the things that they previously approved.
So I mean, she obviously, and it was one of the people who was briefed on all this as time went on, correct?
Well, I'm not clear on that. It was the Gang of Eight initially briefed, and that means the top leadership of the Congress. Whether she was in that group or not, I don't know.
Okay, but we could assume that
congressional leaders were, and the chairs of the intelligence committees were. Whether she was one of those chairs in 2002 or not, but generally speaking, all members had the overall approach to how we were going to treat detainees, not specifics, but the overall approach. They knew it.
All right.
And the leadership knew everything.
This report says that George W. Bush didn't find out about any of this until 2006. Do you believe that's accurate?
Well, it depends on what this refers to. I think the president clearly, and he wrote this in his book, he knew what techniques were going to be used, and he was uncomfortable with two of them and told them not to use those two, even though they would have been considered lawful. And then he said, here are the ones that I do approve. What I don't know that he would have been briefed on were the specific details of each and every interrogation of each and every subject. So they wouldn't come in and say, last night at 10 p.m. we did this, and it lasted for 6 minutes, and at 10:06 we did that. You know, that's the equivalent of presidents picking bomb targets or being briefed on bomb targets so that they can fine-tune it and micromanage a process. Presidents give broad direction to both the Pentagon and the CIA, in this case, the approval of these techniques to keep us safe and to get information to keep us from being attacked again. At that point, once it's legal, authorized by the Justice Department as well, approved by the President, it's up to the CIA to carry it out.
Right.
They did.
So the report makes it sound, look at it either way or both ways, that he was A, out of touch because he's George W. Bush, or B, or A and B, that the CIA purposely withheld information from him because they were doing these nefarious things. So you don't buy either of those two scenarios.
I certainly don't, because I think it's a misunderstanding how information flows and at what level it should flow. That's like saying President Obama is being kept in the dark because he is not told about each and every drone strike and pre-approving each and every drone strike and pre-approving who's in the room when a drone hits. You know, the president authorizes the program, and then agencies of the government carry it out. You don't want presidents to micromanage this process, either for the military, the CIA, or in any government agency.
Right. So he authorized the program, and he told them what not to do, and then he just naturally, you know, was under the assumption that it was being done.
And the president was briefed about the results of the programs and what information the CIA was getting, not only from these programs, but from other programs. And to this day, I believe the CIA, when the CIA directors under Bill Clinton, George Bush, and Barack Obama, 3 different administrations, 2 Democrat, 1 Republican, all say the programs were effective and did save lives.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, I watched that George Tenet interview from 2006 where he was on with Scott Pelley on 60 Minutes. And, you know, you have to go back to the intentions here. I mean, who would have objected? And you know what? Let me ask you. I mean, I'm waiting for Barack Obama or Dianne Feinstein, let's say, to say, look, I have grandchildren in school in California. We know that there's an attack being planned against a California school or 2 of them within the next month. We don't know which school or when. And we have a guy who might be able to tell us. But I don't want you to make him lack his sleep. I don't want you to stick his head underwater. I don't want you to do anything to him. that I would consider enhanced interrogation. You believe she would say that?
Well, we know for a fact that in 2001 and 2002, when congressional leaders were briefed about the techniques, they did not object.
Yep, to keep us safe. All right, stay where you are. We're coming back with Ari Fleischer. We have a lot more to talk about. This agreement on the budget, the CR, and also, is John Lester really worth, well, I don't know, almost 200, whatever the heck he's getting, $30 million a year? The guy was making $4 million last year, I heard. We'll talk all about that and more, because always have to throw some sports in with Ari, on the Steve Malzberg Show. Don't you go away.